Hey everyone, it's Dave here from Designable. I'm going to take you through the Notion website pricing template today. The end goal of the template is to make it really quick and easy for you to be able to create quotations and to figure out how much cost, how much profit, and what kind of deliverables you have to have for each project. We really don't want to go and quote for our projects without having some sort of strategy in mind that it prevents us actually, a project costing us money. So the end product is this pricing structure here where I will put in how many homepage designs somebody's going to get. I will put in how many sub-page designs and coding they're going to get, how many revisions to the designs, and how many meetings they're going to get with me. And as you can see on the left-hand side, the price automatically updates, and we have a clear profit margin here, which I can edit, and it will show you how much profit you're making on each project. So to start, the first thing that we need to establish is we need to establish our burn rate. And your burn rate is the minimum amount you need to charge per hour to pay for your salary and all of your business expenses. Your burn rate's taken care of down in this second table, and it starts with work weeks. Even though there's 52 weeks in a year, realistically, you're not going to be able to work that amount of weeks. You're going to have holidays, you're going to have national holidays, you may have sick days. So, on average, people work roughly about 48 weeks per year is their availability. And likewise with billable hours, even though you may work 40 or 50 hours, a lot of those hours will be unpaid hours, whether it be promoting your business, doing admin, accounting, learning new skills. So instead of 40 hours, let's take that down to 30 hours. Next up is your desired salary. So let's say you want to earn $60,000 per year. And the next is your business expenses, which would be software licenses, computer, hosting, and any apps you buy, whatever you can think of that your business has to pay for in order to actually get the job done. So let's just leave it at $20,000 per year your business has. So what this means is that you need to earn $80,000 per year, and within that year, you only have 48 weeks to earn that. And within those 48 weeks, on average, you have 30 hours per week to actually charge clients for that. So with that in mind, you get a burn rate of $60. That's all we need to know about burn rate. And where burn rate becomes useful is up in the pricing table, which is the thing you're going to use day in, day out. So to begin with, I'm just going to open up the duplicate me, and it just so happened to be $60 in there already. So we can leave that as is. And that's all we need to do for this. Now we can figure out what's the kind of profit margin we want. I don't recommend going below 20% profit margin because people always think about the best case scenario rather than the worst case. And most projects will have some sort of overrun or some time that you did not factor in unless you're doing it a long time and it's very systemized. But each client is generally individual and different people have different needs. So I think 20% profit margin is a good kind of safety buffer. Next up is design of a homepage. So what I do is I provide clients with a number of different homepage designs. Rather than giving clients one homepage and then they have to think if they love it or hate it, we may give them A and B or A, B, and C so that they have something to actually judge one against another and decide which one is their preference. When a client decides on A, B, or C, that dictates the design of all of the sub pages. So we don't need to do multiple versions of sub pages. So let's say for this particular client, we're going to give them two homepage designs, A and B. And in total, it's going to be a 10-page website. So we're going to leave it at 9 sub pages in here. So they'll have two initial designs for a homepage, choose their preference. All the other pages will be designed around that, but we will only code one final homepage and 9 sub pages. And then we have a number of revisions to the actual designs. So how many times will we make tweaks to the design until the client is happy? In general, it's maybe 1 to 3 revisions. So we'll leave this at 2, but if I did change it to 4, you can see on the left the price instantly updates based on the amount of revisions you have to do. So if a client comes to you and says, well, how do I know I'm going to be happy with this? And your response may be, well, we can give you up to 5 designs, but let me tell you how much that's going to cost. And that's really, really quick and simple way to kind of, start conversations on price. Likewise with meetings, you may have initial meetings with clients to strategize the direction, to figure out the expectations of everybody involved. You may need to liaise with their technical team. You then may need to talk to clients to guide them through the design and make some decisions. You may need to give them some training if you're doing something like a WordPress CMS. So let's say we're going to do 2 meetings. And you can see very quickly we have a price. So for the 10-page website with 2 rounds of revisions and 2 meetings, you have 6,156. And we've a clear profit margin of 20%. If we wanted, we could up the profit margin to 30%, and the price on the left updates and your profit updates as well. And what you can do with this is you can click the circles on the left and click duplicate. And now we have an exact copy of this. And this could be for a new client with a new project, or you could also use it to create a tiered pricing option for the client. So let's imagine that this first one, duplicate me, was price number 1, and this one was price option number 2. We're going to leave the profit margin the same. That's important if you're going to give tiered pricing, that you're not dropping your margin as you start to give more deliverables. But what we're going to do is we're going to give the client 3 homepage designs to choose from, and we're going to do 14 subpages. They'll have 3 rounds of revisions, and they will have 3 meetings. So you can see the price again, very clear and simple price difference there, just under $7,000, just over $11,000. And we can clearly explain to the client the difference in each one of them and what they're getting for that money. And these are not the end prices, but these are, if you want to make 30% profit margin and you must earn $60 per hour, this is the base. Do not go below this if these are the deliverables that you're providing for the client. So in the first part, we discussed the pricing table and how to quickly generate prices. But now I want to delve a little bit deeper into how these prices were actually created. So you can see we have a view here and we've different view options, and we're going to go into the variables view. And you can see your burn rate is there already initially established. But everything after the burn rate is based on estimated hours. So this is research. And let's say, for example, research is based on per project, not per page. So at the moment we have 2 hours of research, but let's say you have a client who you don't know anything about their industry and you think there's going to be a lot of research involved in this. I need to figure this out and make sure that I actually know what I'm doing. So you may decide that you need 20 hours of research for that client. Now, if we go back to the default view, you can see that the price is now 8,775. If I go back and change this to 2, the price is adapted again under 7K. So the idea is that you can customize each of these variables based on the client, the type of project, or whether you're giving them tiers and options. And each of these they're designed in different ways, but the idea is just to give you a rounded figure of how much time you're going to spend on each kind of area of creating a website. So meetings, for instance, we have at the moment an average meeting takes 90 minutes, so we have 1.5 in there. Your meetings may be different. Your meetings you may need 3-hour meetings with this client. And again, the price will adjust if you change this. Design for the homepage. This again is how long will it take you to actually do a design of a homepage to be able to send to a client a preview. And what's good about having all these numbers in front of you is you can track this time when you start designing a homepage and actually see, does it take you 4 hours or does it take you 2 hours? Are you much more profitable, or does it actually take you 8 hours? Are you actually underestimating how long it's going to take? And then you're eating into your profit margins there as well. So you can go in and you can adjust it to 8 hours. How long is it going to take to design sub pages? We have 2 hours at the moment. And this is a really important one that a lot of people forget about, is feedback. Feedback is actually dealing with the client's comments and requests for changes. not actually carrying out the changes. Carrying out the changes is covered under revisions, which we've estimated is going to be 1 hour to do that. But feedback is clarifying clients' requests, clarifying what they meant when they said, I'm not really sure I like this, or it doesn't pop. You may need to do some backwards and forwards. And feedback errors, which we have 0.25, which is 15 minutes, that's based on per page. So if you have a 10-page website, that gets multiplied. So that's 10, 15 minutes go in there to factor in the time you're going to need for each of those pages. Likewise, coding, we've estimated 2 hours per page. Again, look, when you initially build a website, the first page and establishing all the styles and getting the code right, it's going to take you more than 2 hours if you're hand coding everything or if you're only starting out. But this is an average over the entire project. So as you do more projects, you will learn to figure out, well, what is an average that it takes me to do all of the pages in a website? Project management errors are per project. So again, the same way when you have research, that this is per project, and you will know over time the type of clients, the industry, the personality, whether they're going to need lots of project management or a small bit of project management. But in general, I found that nobody likes a big line item that says, I'm going to charge you $1,000 for project management, rather than I'll give you a set fee for X amount of pages. So this is internal for you to figure out actually how long it actually takes you to manage it. And likewise, support is after a project launches or if you have ongoing tweaks, that will be probably based on your warranty period and how long clients may get in touch with you and how many updates. Testing also, we have 15 minutes per page when we have a website coded, and all of these variables can be tweaked. What I would recommend is I wouldn't recommend tweaking all these variables per project. What I recommend is tweak one variable and make this your master. You can rename this one and we can call this master row, master item, whatever you want to call it. But realistically, it doesn't make sense to say, well, I'm going to design really, really quickly on this project. I'm going to design really, really slowly on the next project. In general, the research hours are the one part that may vary, but feedback, revision, coding, design, they're all internal and based on your productivity and your flow and what you get done. So I would recommend starting off, it's going to be a guesstimation, but track your time. Use something like Toggle or Harvest to track your overall project time and see if you come over or under what you estimated in here. And to track your time a little bit better, we have another view. We have a view called time, which will show you the estimated amount of design time for this project, the amount of coding time, and the amount of miscellaneous time. And miscellaneous time is based on stuff like research hours, meeting hours, things like feedback, project management. They are all still needed to actually get a project over the line. But you can see here that for this project that we've estimated already, we have 85 and a half hours. So you can then add a budget into Harvest or Toggle, and you can see, did you come in under or over the 85 hours? What did you do? And you have something to aim for, and you can look at how productive you are, and you can then learn and estimate better for the next project. And you may need to go into the next project and actually say, well, I'm going to edit the variables now because I know it takes me a lot longer to design a homepage than 4 hours. It takes me 7 hours, and you can update that as well. The last view is costs, which goes hand in hand with the time view and estimating this. But again, costs break things down by design, by coding, and by miscellaneous, and shows you your total cost and shows you what your profit is going to be on top of that total cost. So it gives you a more strategic look that even though somebody said, oh, yes, they agree and they're going to pay you $11,000 and everybody thinks it's brilliant, realistically, after you've paid all your bills and paid yourself a salary, the profit you may make out of that may be only 3,300, which is still a good profit margin because for this particular project, I think we attached a 30% profit margin. But if I was to take that down to 10%, you can see that we're only making $932 on the same project, profit wise. So it allows you to really, really quickly see where your sweet spot is in pricing, but also that you're not pricing just to get a job. You're pricing to actually earn money to pay your bills, to pay your expenses, to pay your salary, and also to make a profit on top of that to allow your business to grow in the future. And as time goes on, the more projects you have in here, you will be able to estimate the total cost that if these were all approved projects, I can look and see, well, we have $8,700 in costs for design. This helps us understand whether it's time to outsource something, to bring someone in, but to understand if we can actually afford to bring somebody else in as well. And should you need to bring employees in at a later date, you can refer back to your burn rate. And your burn rate at the moment is your salary and expenses. But if you hired a new employee who was being paid $30,000 a year, your business expenses went from 20 to 50,000, and you can see that your burn rate went from $60 to $80. So what you would do then is you would go into your template and you would update your burn rate, and you can see at the moment we have 7,137. But when I change the burn rate, we now for that same project need to charge 9,516 to still achieve all those numbers. Because what a lot of people have done as their business has grown, they have taken on employees, which is a big expense for salaries and healthcare and training and computer equipment and software. And they haven't factored in that they still need to maintain a specific profit margin. They still need to pay themselves a specific salary as well. So you will know if you can actually realistically charge somebody $9,516 for a 10-page website with 2 rounds of revisions and 2 meetings, you will know if that's going to work, or if you need to actually adjust your profit margin to begin with and say, well, I'm going to take an employee on, I can reduce the profit margin, but over time I'm going to bring the profit margin up gradually, or it may even be just 22% to bring it up gradually. So it helps you to think about your business a lot more strategically, and it takes the emotion of a client choosing you and deciding to give you money. It takes all that out of the equation. The last biggest benefit is it makes the money conversation and the scope really, really quick and simple. The intention of the website pricing template is is not as a proposal you send to a client. This is a barometer for you before you send any sort of formal proposal or quotation, that this is the minimum to make it viable for you. If you need to have $80 as your burn rate, this is the minimum before you need to actually start, slashing the amount of meetings you're giving or slashing the amount of revisions you're giving. But it also means that if you have a initial consultation with a client, you can quickly give them a ballpark figure. You can quickly say, okay, yeah, for one homepage design, for 7 subpages and 2 rounds of revision, this is going to start at 6,850. And that's a good place to be. That's a confident place that gives you much more leverage, and it also promotes you as the expert in what you do.